Thank you very much, Mr. Mabasa, for joining us. Now, vehicle and component production accounted for 27.6% of the country's manufacturing output in 2019. What impact has the coronavirus lockdown in SA had on the automobile manufacturing industry specifically?
Well, it has had a very huge impact, Andy, for the sector as a whole, particularly because for the past 8 weeks, we have been on standstill. The industry has not moved an inch, particularly because production has not happened in the last 6 weeks or so. We haven't sold vehicles at the time, particularly during level 5. We obviously did not export vehicles, nor have we imported vehicles into the country. And as a result of that, obviously, that has had a very huge impact on our ability to be able to continue to make a contribution to the economic life of South Africa as a whole.
Now, how has the shutdown in production affected demand for new vehicles among South Africans?
Well, it has had obviously a devastating impact on demand, because we believe very strongly that South Africans obviously love their vehicles that are produced here in South Africa, and certainly also vehicles that we import. Because remember, we don't just produce vehicles in the country, but we also bring in vehicles that are produced elsewhere that South Africans can be able to buy from time to time. And we want to obviously stimulate demand for those vehicles that are coming in, and vehicles particularly that we are producing in the country. Obviously, the lockdown, because people were not able to buy any of those vehicles, particularly during the lockdown, that demand has obviously dwindled quite significantly.
And how have exports been affected over the past 4 months, especially to big automotive trading partners such as China?
Well, look, South Africa has become a very huge export market. 64% of what we produce locally goes out of the country as exports. And we've got major trading partners. You've mentioned China. We've got the United Kingdom, and generally the European Union, some of our trading partners. And obviously, as a result of the lockdown, we've seen obviously a situation where we could not be able to trade and send the vehicles that we produce in the country, so that we can be able to make sure that we are able to continue to grow the export basket. Because if we are producing vehicles and 64% of those are actually sent out, it actually gives an assurance that South Africa is producing very high quality vehicles that other markets around the world depend on, and obviously look at South Africa in terms of bringing those vehicles into their own markets.
Mr. Mabasa, the manufacturing segment of the motoring industry presently employs more than 112,250 people across its various tiers of activity. And if you can take the value chain into account, that number increases exponentially. Are we looking at significant job losses in the coming months?
Well, look, I think since level 4 started, we are currently taking stock because the industry is obviously partially back online. In terms of manufacturing, 50% of our employees are back at work. In terms of our retail business, 30% is only back at work currently. We've obviously requested all our members to review their positions and obviously to advise us accordingly. And we're hoping that in June we'll be able to issue a proper analysis in terms of how job losses will obviously be managed across the entire value chain. We are actually having a CEO Council meeting now in June, and we are hoping that that meeting will help us to be able to understand the veracity upon which we can be able to ensure that we are able to save jobs for many of our workers.
Before I let you go, one quick question. So you've done a very comprehensive study on the financial impact of COVID-19. Does that study make any predictions in terms of recovery time for the industry?
Well, absolutely. I think what we've done with the study, obviously, we've projected, we've done some outlook. We've looked at, obviously, what is happening, not just only in South Africa, but certainly globally around the world. Because remember, automotive is not a global, it's not a local business. It's a global business. What is happening in South Africa is obviously impacting also other countries and vice versa. So we are very clear, based on the projections we've made, that we are going to be seeing a potential decline of about 25% in terms of production and also in terms of vehicle sales, particularly for local consumption, that the vehicles that we're selling in South Africa.
Well, thank you very much. That was Michael Mabasa, CEO of the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa.